All right, I decided I was going to not do another political stream, which originally was what I had intended. And I'll probably, obviously I'll put up a political video tomorrow. I'm just in development hell when it comes to that top 10 Krillin fights video because I'm just, what's a good way of saying it? Usually in the 2 or 3 days before I try to put it out, that's when I get running when it comes to writing, just having all these ideas come to me. And at that point, it's a lot easier to kind of just sit down and focus on it because that's usually how I end up finishing an edited video. I just take it by itself and make it my primary or main thing that I just keep day after day hammering on. But I wanted to talk about something that I don't think I've directly addressed. Um, what's a good way of saying it? It seems like whenever you are part of a group or thought to be part of a group, the people who are the harshest or otherwise the most antagonistic to you are people who could be considered part of the same group. So I'm someone who frequently says over and over again, almost to the point of repetition, that I'm not part of any romance groups. And I say that because my views, like what disenfranchises me about chicks, is not the same thing as a lot of other people. A lot of people do just want to get screwed or go on a date, and that's the latter. A date is usually what I ask for. But I talked about how there were more long-term things like marriage, having a family that I wanted. That you can't get chicks to, I guess, plan out. But if they see some man that they find attractive, they'll get knocked up by him with no actual savings or otherwise family planning that leads to the child's life being screwed over. But besides that, I was really irritated when I had a user who used to watch my content do a video on me. And again, I do believe there are fair and accurate, legitimate criticisms that can be made of anybody. But when this person goes in their comment section talking about how I'm using politics to cope with not getting abroad, it's funny because a lot of times when you look at people who don't have the same, I guess, view, like the pseudo negative view of chicks that they'll assign to people, to men who've been like turned down over and over. Usually they'll say things about this person focuses too much on this, or they try to like do this, what I call the psychoanalyzing, where someone who's never met you or someone who's maybe spoken to you once or twice now has this window into your soul and they can tell you what you think and how often you think about something and what the solution to this problem is. And again, I expect that from people who have not experienced this. I expect them to say ignorant, ridiculous, dumb things. But in the case of someone who, before they became disgruntled with me on some personal level, had nothing negative to say about my opinions on the romance stuff, to have that person now suddenly act as though, what's a good way of saying it, they're now, because they're disenfranchised with me as a person or as a content creator because of our interaction, they are now taking on the antagonistic position that I would assume someone who is not part of the same group would say. So they're saying things that people who don't have this problem would say about people who do have this problem. A lot of times with Americans, when somebody finds out, you get accused of being lazy, you get accused of not looking hard enough, you get accused of looking for things that are, above your qualifications. And you would think that someone who is unemployed as well would be more sympathetic. They would understand what it's like to file application after application and not hear anything back and then get accused a million ways to Sunday of what wrongs you must have committed. But just as another example, this would be like if someone who was also unemployed starts saying, "You don't have a job because you're lazy, because you don't look enough for one, because you're underqualified, because you don't have the right skill set." They would, even though being in the same position as you, take the position that's antagonistic toward you in the situation. So they're part of the same group of unemployed people, but that doesn't bar them from saying the same things that you would hear from someone who was employed or otherwise was, in a better, stable situation. To give you an example of how I don't do this, I am someone who identifies as a Catholic. I have my own definition of what it means to me. I really don't try to get bogged down in religion because a lot of times people will harp on that much larger than I would. But I'll just put it like this: my views are I don't care about messing with gay people or any other group that could be condemned. And you have a lot of Catholics and religious people who don't like homosexuals, for example. And even though that's not a view I don't have, that of disliking them just on the basis of being, who they're attracted to, I don't actively antagonize those people, meaning that I'm not going online calling them bigots every 2 seconds because I'm not going to change those people. And I genuinely see it as a waste of my breath to scold individuals who, for in some cases, decades have been dead set on, vilifying some whole group of people. So even though I have the view that is not the same as theirs, I'm not antagonistic because I don't try to push it down their throat or make it known to them. Because a lot of people seem to forget this. You are allowed to have any opinion you want. Um, but the thing is, you're not allowed to dictate or control what the response to it is. So I could think for the rest of my life that talking to chicks is a waste of time and no one can change that. But I can't control if someone says that because I think talking to chicks is a waste of time, this means you're going to, do some violent act, which is something that people have said on here. Even if I condemn violence, you get my point that there's only the only influence you have on this is what you put out, and then what the response to it is from someone else. But again, it stings the most when it's people who are supposedly under the same group. Just like there are a lot of black Trump supporters, and I said before I didn't vote for Biden or Trump because I don't like either one of them, and I don't think either one of them is going to make anything better for really any damn body, any normal person, 9 to 4, whatever. So even when you have people who are black that support Trump, you have this weird section. It's not everybody, but it's a section of black people who get angry at other blacks for supporting Trump and then basically try to say that because of your ethnicity you cannot support this man, which I think is really ridiculous. I don't believe someone's ethnicity should determine their political views. And again, it's a view that I don't agree with. I think is incorrect to the damn near the highest extent, but it's not something that I feel the need to target this group over specifically. Um, Case in point with Candace Owens, I think she's an idiot. I think she is someone who is not smart, who just latched on to Trump for whatever reason and conservative stuff, whatever. But I'm telling you, it's one of the most frustrating things to watch these liberals who will take people like Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro and Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson, all these different conservative whites, and they will say that these people are insane, but they don't cast dispersions on if these people actually believe in the stuff they're saying. They don't try to pretend that there's some kind of financial incentive for these people to be conservative. With Owens and some other blacks that I've seen who support Trump, there's this weird specific accusation that they're only doing this for money. And I don't like that because again, it's on this, like it's one thing to disagree with someone, and I'll disagree with all of those conservative commentators over and over again. But it seems like that one specific critique, that allegation of you're supporting this man for some coins, only is levied toward black people that support Trump. And it's even crazier when you consider that all those conservative commentators I mentioned, they all get paid for, whatever views that they have. So, Ben Shapiro gets paid by the Daily Wire. It's his job. Levin on Fox News, Hannity on Fox News, Carlson on Fox News. My point is, it's really strange that these other people can get paid for this, in spite of having the views that they have, or seemingly because they have the views that they have. But then if black people support Trump, it's like a sin. How dare you make coins off of backing this man? And I just don't like that. I think it's really ridiculous that that's only this idea of you are supporting this person for some financial motive is only ever levied toward black people that support conservatives. And a lot of people who peddle it are other blacks. And that's why I did the videos. I think it was called the Same Race, Same Problem or something like that. But I was talking about how some of the nastier stuff that is alleged of African Americans is, forwarded. Basically, I got it, like both of the people that attacked me online in July in some major way were both black. And again, I'm not trying to make this into a race thing, but you got to understand that we're less than 20% of the US population. So if anyone should be like harshly critiquing me online, I would think it would be someone who's white, but whatever. We attack each other the most. Yeah, it's sad. Yeah, your own group will definitely bury you. They will make you the villain. And unfortunately, when you have such a, what's the way of saying it? There's certain stuff that I don't mind that happening with. So, for example, when I talked about the dingbat with the baby, the reason that was something I just kept harping on was that was someone who I knew for a long time. That was someone who talked about how it was stupid to have kids she couldn't afford. And I watched a group of adults kind of walk back talking about how stupid this chick was. And less than 2 years before she did that dumb thing of having this kid she couldn't afford, I had the one video that went viral, or got the I don't know if 200,000 views is viral, but it got more attention than most of my other stuff. And I was getting critiqued left and right simply for sitting down and articulating what my issue was with chicks that had caused me to stop talking to them. And I thought to myself, it's crazy how I can have hundreds of comments written to me for having an opinion that doesn't hurt anybody, but a woman who has a kid that she can't afford, that she has to actively beg other people to help her support, that she knew from the second she let the banana go inside of her, she wouldn't be able to subsidize, is able to get off with very little critique. And even then, my position, while antagonistic toward what she has done, is still not directly antagonistic to her because I haven't said anything to her since she did this. Again, you can have whatever opinion you want, but you also have various means of expressing it. And sometimes you don't express it to the person directly because you don't want to hurt their feelings, or you don't want the headache of having to deal with the ramifications of saying that. So if I went up to her and said, "You're an idiot for having a kid you couldn't afford," I know I'll have some adults who will start getting upset with me. Oh my God, this is so rude, because we all know it's words matter more than actions. But my point is, it's still something that I would be bringing upon myself, because even though she did this thing that I found to be dumb or idiotic, like to not make any sense at all, I would still be the one who decided to express that position. Because remember, we don't have Professor X in the real world. No one can read your mind and know how you think about a situation or feel about someone. So if I were to get in trouble for calling her an idiot to her face, that would be because I chose to run the risk of expressing that position directly to her. And it was the same thing on my video. I am sure there are plenty of people who think I'm hideous, which was something that was written on my video. Uh, I had somebody attack my voice, my cross, all kind of little weird stuff, just different things they would nitpick about. But again, the point is, just because you feel that way, you don't have to express it. There are plenty of chicks on this website that I don't find attractive. I don't think uh, are appealing to the eye, but I don't write any comments calling them ugly or hideous because I really don't like attacking people. Usually for how they look, like maybe just as an exception, if the person's running like some channel where they're saying they're the most beautiful woman ever, then maybe that's where you could say it's legitimate because they brought the onus to their appearance. They made it the central focus. But if someone is talking about an issue or something that affects them, I just don't. I just think it's really screwed up to go from, hey, this person is articulating why this bothers them. Let me start whining about the way they look. I said this on one of my other streams, but I will go to my grave knowing that the majority of people who have called me ugly online are other men who are supposedly straight. Keyword is supposedly. We have to put that in parentheses. And like I said, I really think that a lot of times when people, so I had one guy who was talking about, oh, free speech and that they don't like censorship and all this trash. And I said, listen, people have said nasty things about me on Twitter, on forums, and I'm not trying to take any of it down. The only time I make any effort to get rid of something disgusting that they wrote to me is in my comment section. And for me to be told that I shouldn't have the power to have that little bit of control on this website, which is again one channel out of billions, I just thought was insane. And it's funny that the same group of people who wanted to tell me about not supporting, like believing that there should be consequences to free speech, are the same ones who want to tell me that the consequence I give to that free speech, which is getting banned on my specific channel, is this thing that takes away people's free speech. But hell, they were allowed to express themselves before getting the consequence. And they're still not censored because they can write it somewhere else on the website. And this issue was revived during a stream I did on Saturday where a user was talking about the virus and claiming that it was all rigged and fake and that 200,000 people were all going to rise from their graves. Like this is some zombie apocalypse film, but it's really irritating to do so very little, right? To curb what people say about you, to like get rid of it, to expel it. And then have people try to pretend that the one little thing you can do, right, which is to control your own comment section, is like this big brother overzealous attack on people's free speech. And my point has been that if people genuinely believe I'm this big censorer and are making it impossible for them to communicate what they believe, which is still untrue because the guy who made a video on me actually wasn't even banned on my channel. So he just chose to, go around writing a paragraph or some comments to, doing a video. If they believed that I am this true censorer, somebody else, go talk to somebody else. I don't want to speak to people who support my harassment. Because you're not writing something in my comment section to me because you can't write it anywhere else. You're writing it to get my attention and in an attempt to make me feel bad. Just like when I do a video talking about the dingbat with the baby. This person gets talked about where I don't say their name, where I don't link the video to her after I do it, because me getting my opinion out is more important than that person being aware of what my opinion is of them, because I really couldn't care less. But that's why people get mad when they get banned from a channel for writing something evil. That they're upset that they can't directly tell the person, you're a piece of trash. And again, the people who are taking these positions that, like you shouldn't be able to control what someone writes in your comment section are people who want me to be friends with them. I think like both of these people who've supported this crap are people who have called me friends. And I said, listen, I'm not friends with someone who supports my harassment. That's just not how I do things. But I bring them up because they're in being two people who knew I was being attacked online and who still took that position. It goes back to what I was saying of how because that position is antagonistic to me because it's making the one way in which I have influence over what people say, which is still very small compared to the billions of channels on this website that people can talk trash about me on. It's taking that one little piece of power that I have and saying you shouldn't even have that. You should be completely have your hands tied and not be able to do anything about anything that anyone says about you. So if someone writes on one of my videos that you're going to rape a woman, that should just be allowed to stay. If someone writes in my comment section that you should die, which they have, and I even actually showed the screenshot in the video I did where I talked about the Discord snake, that should be allowed to stay. If someone, and this did happen about a month ago, refuses to leave my stream to where they start spamming comments to get me to acknowledge them, and it becomes distracting for everyone else that's there, that should be allowed to happen. And it's funny too, because as they're telling me about how they believe in consequences for free speech, they don't want the consequence of me not speaking to them anymore. Because I can't change their mind, but I can certainly change who I speak to and who I don't speak to. So I say, look, if you believe this, you can go talk to somebody else. They go, no, 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 please, please, I need you. We already talked about the Discord snake made another account just to send me a friend request. Remember, they believe in consequences for free speech, but then when the consequence actually arises, we're going to try to duck and dodge it. That's like me saying I believe people should go to prison for breaking the law, and then after I get put in jail for stealing, I try to dig a tunnel to get to break out. It's like, well, hell, apparently I don't believe in people serving time for their offenses if I'm trying to, break out or get or dodge the consequence of what I did. And I do believe there should be consequences for the positions that people have. So if I support progressives or what a lot of these conservatives call socialists, and somebody doesn't want to watch me anymore, they should have the right to not watch me. And also, if they want to explain why they should be able to say, hey, I don't like this person because he supports socialists. It would be their right, and I would be receiving the consequence of my opinion. Again, it wouldn't be like I'm being persecuted because other people could still watch my stuff and have no problem with who I support. But this goes back to what I was saying, how they want to take that one little control you have, which is in this case, who you choose to watch and who you don't watch, and say, oh no, you shouldn't do that. So people say things that piss you off, and then there should be no consequence given for it. People should be able to actively get on your nerves with every upload, but you must torture yourself by watching them. That's why I said a lot of those people that are like blabbing about free speech, I really don't think they think through what they're communicating. because there's always been restrictions on free speech. You can't threaten the president of the United States. You can't impersonate a police officer. Like, and I guess it's really creepy when people, because even then you still can make vague threats. You have people who say things like, "Oh, if you come to my house, you'll be leaving," in another kind of way. So these vague threats, right? And those are allowed. So it's very difficult by virtue of just U.S. law to get a consequence for free speech, ironically enough. Oh my God, this person banned me from their channel. They're the only channel on YouTube. How will I go on? How will I exist if I'm banned from this one person's channel? No. Yeah, it's really sad. Oh, let's get into a political one because this is another good point of antagonism. So back during Trump's second year, immigration was a topic that people just kept discussing over and over again, like to the point of ad nauseum, where I didn't want to hear it anymore. Like I actively stopped discussing immigration because it just became more trouble than it was worth. Like you get 20 views and then you get some troll on your video talking about you're an idiot because you know have a different opinion. But anyway, when this was going on, there was a thing that was said by conservatives that I really found funny. And what they would say was, "Oh, I oppose these illegal immigrants because they take the jobs from people who were born here, and I care about people who were born here." And then if you would turn around and ask them, "So do you support people who are born here having a minimum wage increase of $2, $3, a dollar?" They would say no. Uh, so I care. I don't want illegal immigrants here because they take American jobs, and I care about Americans being employed. But to hell with them if they want 120 cents extra an hour after already breaking their behind for a third of the day at some crusty place of business. Like how backwards is that? I want I want the illegal immigrants gone because I care about Americans and their employment, but I also don't want them to make two more dollars for working at some place for most of the day. So yeah, I'm with you as far as you getting employed, but screw you if you want just a little bit more. Because you gotta understand, if it's a $15 minimum wage, that's literally not even like a double would be $30. So that's not even what, a sixth of what you already were making. So how backwards is that? I haven't seen JMO in forever. I thought he quit on me. He found some new romance person to watch. So some new individual to find appealing. But again, that's another one of those things where the main people who stand at the forefront of Americans not having a wage increase, like the main people who are just like, no, we will not let you get one more or two more dollars for all these hours of work that you do, are other Americans via voting for some politician that opposes increasing it by or outright. So you're basically admitting the US is such a piece of garbage that giving people 60 more cents or 120 more cents, because that's how much $2 is, will just destroy the, the economy. Not 60 cents, not, excuse me, 100, whatever. I'm not about to sit here and burst into a math show. I was thinking of minutes, so giving them 200 more pennies an hour is just going to destroy the U.S. Like the U.S. is such garbage that if you give people one more dollar for 8 hours of work, just I just think it's really nutty, and it's sad too because you have a lot of liberals or progressives who will concede the fact that if you increase it by, some large amount. So if you went from 15 an hour to 30 or 40, yeah, they would, get rid of people. But if it's by $1 or $2, they're just being again antagonistic, just like with the free college thing, where you drop out in middle school or high school. People say it's because you're not, paying attention to your grades. And then when you drop out in college because you can't afford it, you're expected to have thousands of dollars that you don't own. And then when you get in debt from getting a piece of paper that these people told you needed to be successful in life, they tell you that you need to man up and pay back this enormous amount of debt that you wouldn't have taken out if the crap didn't cost so much. Working people never seem to be represented. Again, it's other Americans being antagonistic to them. Like with the illegal immigrant thing, the reason that annoyed me as much as it did is because they have no power. So the only way someone can get hired by another person is if the employer hires them. And they tried to frame it like the illegal immigrants were hiring themselves, like they were making these employers hire them. When we know the real reason they prefer them over people who were born here is because they can basically blackmail them into getting paid much less. So they can say, "Oh, you want a little bit more or some healthcare benefits? I guess I'll just have to inform ICE." It's a really devious, evil system, and people really try to vilify some of the people that are, to an extent, victims of the system. I mean, hell, would you rather be framed by your employer and get not as much as you need to survive, or tell the truth on your employer, get outed for being here illegally, and then shipped back to wherever you came from, like they had jobokinesis and just took jobs? Yeah, well, that's why I said that people have really tried to make it seems the people who don't have power in specific situations the primary factor for why they turn out a certain way. So it's just across the board. Like if you work, you're behind off to get into some university, and let's say you're 18, 19, 20, I can actually prove the majority of people who are that age don't have thousands and thousands of dollars. And that if someone were to have been hit with a rut to where they couldn't continue middle school or high school to be due to grades and not working hard enough. But then when you can't meet the financial obligation, people don't get upset at the school that expects people who per norm don't have thousands of dollars lying around to give to them. They'll get more upset with the student for not, having some vast net worth to where they can just blindly hand some school thousands of dollars and not think of the ramifications. Look at the romance thing. Uh, if you go and approach some broad and she says no, people will tell you that you're the reason she said no, even though it was her decision to say no. Like you'll get blamed for the decision that she made. And again, that's screwed up because if it was reversed and a woman approached you and you said no, you would get blamed for the decision you made, which should be the case. You said no, so it didn't happen. So it's so slanted against men that if you tell a woman you're not interested, you get blamed, but you turn down by a woman, you're blamed as well. So regardless of if you made the decision for it not to progress or not, because you have a penis, you get blamed. Yeah, this every single time I've been streaming for the last 2 or 3 weeks, it keeps saying that your connection is unstable. I don't know what's going on with it. Yeah, it's really weird. Technology is so it's so crappy in the modern era. Like they make all these computers and then all they do is just cause problems when you try to do a video. Yeah, it's a really sad era. Like when I was younger, just flashing back, I don't remember getting blamed for this much stuff. Like you usually, if you got a bad grade, you get blamed for that. If you hit another classmate, you got blamed for that. But now it's so messed. It's so like rigged against men that if a woman says no, even though that was her decision, you get blamed for it. If some employer doesn't hire you, you get blamed for that. I just think it's really weird and really sad that people are so hell bent on being antagonistic to you that they'll look at situations where you had very little or certainly not as much control as someone else, and they do like this really clever thing of trying to make it be about you. Like when I was talking to the Discord snake about the employment thing, he tried to accuse me of like, or he tried to say that my videos could be a factor, that I'm so famous that all these employers know who I am and they're like, ew. And he like really wanted me to believe that no one on YouTube has ever been hired ever. But again, that's another one of those antagonistic positions. Oh, if you just hadn't done this right. And again, it's part of this thing of how people they look for specific ways to make you the villain, or be antagonistic to you, but they can't explain why it happens to people who have variances. So I know someone who also is unemployed and they don't make videos and they're in the exact same situation, which therefore would kill the idea that if you didn't do videos, you would have this great, amazing chance of getting employed somewhere, because someone else who doesn't do them is still getting screwed out anyway. Especially with COVID and its little ravaging state. Get that right there in case I need to mute. Yeah, somebody was moving around, so I thought I might have to say something to them. But yeah, your own group will make you the evil character of the year. They will find a way to flip everything to, like, I did the most blamed man of all time stream, and that was interesting. But it really seems that the people who are the quickest to make you out to be the culprit for why something doesn't work are people who fit into the same groups as you, or people that are more closely related to you than some random person. People seem to constantly look for any reason to blame the person suffering. No empathy can be found. Oh no, if it's the chick stuff, you can definitely find empathy for them. If it's on the other side, like if it's flipped around. So if you go on a broad's video where she's talking about not being able to get with a man, you won't have anyone call her ugly while she's conveying her opinions. You won't have anyone try to attack the way she speaks. And if they do that, they attack the way she looks. They'll be attacked for being another one of those men that focuses on the way people look as opposed to their character, or something else. So there are certain instances where, depending on who you are, you can get empathy. But if you're a man, it is insane. Like, Jesus Christ. I'm surprised they don't blame me for rain drizzling yesterday. It didn't actually rain yesterday, but that's just because it's gotten so ridiculous that they find a way to just flip every situation product of something you did. Like if I do a video where I calmly communicate what my issue is with chicks, and then somebody takes that and says, this person is going to rape somebody, they're not going to get upset. The person who draws this idea that this person who is communicating in a clear and articulate manner is being lodged as some future attacker, even though they have no signs or we have no proof that this is going to occur. They'll get more upset with me for doing the video, even though people have literally ridiculed and attacked everything online. People have these ID checks. If your identity is wrong in their eyes, you'll be dehumanized fast. Well, that's why I did the video, how romance dehumanizes man. I mean, the employment thing is just people being, see, this is how this works, right? With the just world fallacy. Um, because they have no proof that the majority of, I actually do have proof, majority of places I applied to didn't have a problem with my qualifications. But because people want to believe that this is a fair world and that you only get screwed over if you do something wrong, they have to convince themselves that when you apply to these different places, all of them were, like being the CEO of Microsoft or trying to be a senator or something. Like they find a way to spin it and twist it to where even if you put the proof in front of them, they just won't believe that you're not the culprit for these places doing these things. I actually had one of the employers ask me, why do you think all of these places have said no? And I said directly, they just don't care. They're not trying to hire anybody. You're not going to make me feel ashamed for being the person trying to change a crappy situation. Sorry, buddy. It's easy to claim the house is not burning down when you're fireproof. Well, yeah, that's why the chick stuff was really, I mentioned this before on Discord. I ran into a group of people who accused me of being selfish because I stopped talking to chicks. And it was really funny because it goes back to what I was talking about where I said the majority of those people at maximum had maybe, because on Discord they have these VCs where it's like 10 people talking. So the majority of them spoke to me once, maybe one time or twice, or directly maybe 3 times at most. And yet they're now all experts on what I do when it comes to chicks, and they all have the solutions, and they've solved the puzzle. They have me all figured out. And all of it was really simple. I said, listen, if a woman is serious and wants to go on a date or do something else that is forwarding, I will reciprocate if I find her attractive, which, again, if I've talked to 90 chicks, that means I probably would in most instances. But if she's going to just sit here and talk on the phone and write stupid stuff, juice isn't worth the squeeze. You have to give me something for me to believe it's worth interacting with you, because I've had too much time wasted with these people. And again, the chick stuff is the only thing in the world that's not a utility, because jobs are utility. You need those to survive, where you can get nothing out of it year after year, like no dates, just nothing forwarding of what you want to do long term. And people will like mentally jujitsu their way into making it seem that you need to just keep holding out hope. They'll just tell you no one owes you anything, which is true, but it's often used to dismiss the hardship people face in social settings. Oh, yeah, see, here's my thing, right? They call it entitlement, but it's really a stupid thing that they like to say to themselves, because if someone is really entitled and believes they're just going to have these chicks fall in their lap, why the hell would they go out and talk to so damn many of them? Why would they talk to one broad for weeks or months if they genuinely believe they're entitled to her? Like, why would they put in the effort of trying to appeal to this person if they believe they deserve her inherently? See, they like to throw that phrase around because they don't like the fact that, as simple as it was, I gave a consequence to the stupid stuff that was done to me year after year. I said, look, I'm tired of being on this hamster wheel of nothing happening except my time being wasted. So, do the Thanos snap. Let's end it. But again, they can't account for that. If it's entitlement, why would someone go out and put that much effort into all those different chicks? I got this nice little rainbow. What's the point of trying anything if no one owes you anything? Well, again, that's just a stupid word they use, or stupid phrase they use to dodge valid criticisms directed toward this group of people. Like if I talk to some broad for 2, 3, 4 months, and then I'm talking about how I think she's so beautiful. I think she's, and I'm not going to say that because they don't say it often, but I think she's intelligent and she's so funny and all that trash. And then she, asks me out and I go, oh, no, thanks. If that person should have the right to get upset over that, to believe that their time has been wasted, because it was. I had to adjust this to make the glare not go in the way. That's the trade-off. You either get good lighting, like where you can actually see the person, or you sit in the dark with no sun. No one owes you anything. Now, people will drive you nuts on here with their. And then the other thing is, if no one owes anyone anything, then why are they upset with me for not talking to broads anymore? Like, if that's true, then aren't the broads not owed my continued devotion to trying to get with one of them? See, again, you could just flip it on its head. Employers don't owe you a job, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try to get a job. No, see, that's different because as disgusting as it is, you do have to keep putting up with them if again, it's a utility. But getting with the broad isn't a utility, so you're allowed to walk away from it whenever you want. If anything, you're more likely to encounter entitled women. Men have to live up to a woman's demands, and he has demands in return. But if he has demands in return, he's unreasonable. Well, no, they can have standards, but you can't. Like, I had a chick who literally wrote me paragraphs about why I should give overweight women a chance. And I said, imagine if I went up to some woman that was, let's say, athletic. Let's say she had maybe, I don't know, she just runs, or she's like average weight, right? And I'm 300 pounds, and I go, I think she should give me a chance because of my character. Nobody would take my side. Nobody would say that she was unreasonable for wanting someone that was in the same level of shape as her. It's the same thing where if a woman had a bachelor's degree and I didn't even graduate from high school, no one would look at that broad and say that she's being unreasonable in wanting someone who has the same level of education. So what I'm saying is, only when you're a man are you told that no matter how much you succeed, no matter what you own, no matter how you act, you have to just take and accept anything that comes your way. That's why I had a person who wrote me a paragraph-long comment talking about I need a bank account and a degree and all this, because we all know no one who's ever been screwed has not had a piece of paper. We all know that once you get a degree, you just have some magic prostitute jump in front of you. But again, the person who wrote that dumb comment was another man. And that's really the most disturbing thing to me about the chick stuff, that when I really think of the people who write the most like ridiculous, harsh, overreactionary comments, because again, like, I've seen people who still talk to chicks. I've seen people who don't, like, that do things I don't do when it comes to romance, and I don't care because it has no bearing on my life. But again, the people who write the most crazy, like, paragraphs long comments are other men who are so affected by someone of the same gender who they're apparently not interested in dating. So it befuddles me as to why they would care this much about that man saying, hey, I'm done. They're the ones writing these enormous comments, trying to make 99 different cases for what I need to do. My response is that to that rebuttal is, if no one owes me, I don't owe you the privilege of my presence. Well, yeah, that was what ended up happening with Triple L, where she turned me down, and then like right after that I blocked her, or like right before that I blocked her, and then after getting blocked, she tried to send me an email or like tried to contact me through another means, and was like writing a whole bunch of comments. So apparently she felt I owed her my presence. And she actually, when we had our last conversation, I'll never forget this, because she likes, people like to make accusations and accuse you of things. I was accused of just cutting a bunch of people off for no reason, even though I give reasons to these people as to what I don't like and offer them the chance to improve. And if they don't improve, then I say, all right, to hell with you. She said in the midst of this conversation that I would have to talk to a fish because I was going to cut off everybody or some kind of crap. And that reminds me of what they say about like the romance groups that they believe that if you don't date them, you're going to date some horrible abusive man. Like if you don't tolerate me, you're going to end up with some horrible alternative. You can never just not want to speak to me. Well, no, I was saying that I'd be a lot more willing to put up with broads if I was given something in return. Like if there was, so if let's say they want to speak to you over the phone, if you say you want to go on a date and you're willing to fly to where they are, and then you make some stipulation that if the date doesn't work out, you're still going to talk to them anyway because you like the person and they at least gave you the chance to, I guess, appeal to them in that manner. See, then it would actually be a fair trade-off because you're still getting something that you want, and your efforts with this person are being rewarded to some extent by that person. They're recognizing you as actively trying to, develop some kind of relationship with them. But if you're constantly in the same spot of them not reciprocating, no matter how many weeks, months, in some cases years you talk to them, I don't see what you have to gain from doing that. Why you should subject yourself to getting none of what you want while giving this person everything they want. Again, that's the dirty part of relationships. They're a two-way street, and people don't like the idea that if you don't give someone, something, they have the right to say, all right, I'm not getting anything out of this. Goodbye. That's another little dirty secret. The people who say that are the biggest hypocrites. Pretty much. But you get my point that, when I do something that is optional, that doesn't give me I don't get fulfillment off of talking to a bunch of random broads online. But if I do something like that with the intent of some long-term goal, and that goal is not satisfied or looks like it's going in a direction of where that will eventually be reached, I don't need to speak to these people. It's really sad that, again, and this goes back to the thing of the antagonism. The main people who will go after me for not talking to chicks are other men. Chicks don't care. I have not seen a single broad go in my comment section. Well, I have seen like two or three insult me, but I haven't seen a single one like be outraged that I don't talk to broads anymore. Like just be aggressively angry, like, how dare you? It's not about their refusal to reciprocate. It's about control. They want to feel like they've got you wrapped around their index finger. Yeah, and I'm just tired of them. I was sick of them riding my back. I was tired of them getting all of what they want out of me, and then I don't get anything back. And I'm supposed to look at that and say, let's keep doing this forever. Aren't you tired of being told you have to be Superman while somebody else can be what they are? Like you have to, the chick gets to be as in shape as she is. She gets to dress whatever way she wants, but you have to wear suits and have some bachelor's degree and have some specific haircut and be 7 feet tall. Like what the hell? And own a mansion and some enormous car. And people really look at that and think that's fair. That's something I would sign myself up for. No, they do want you wrapped around their finger, and men enable them to do that. When they come in my comment section trying to tell me about the different things I need to do to appeal to them, it's never what does the chick do for you. They really believe you're supposed to transform into this other character just so you can have maybe a one night stand with a broad. You're going to go to school and pay thousands of dollars for a degree and then work off the debt and get some cars so that you can go on a date. Again, anyone who logically thinks about this stuff knows that if you have to do all of that to go on one date, then it's not worth your time. Like, how backwards is society that people who don't own anything are able to like be competitive with people who own things. So for example, I could in a hype just this how screwed up the romance stuff is. I could own a Lamborghini, I could live in a mansion, I could have, make six figures a year, whatever. Some woman could live in a box, uh, and as long as she's in shape, people will actually say that she's above my league by not because she owns anything more than me or is smarter, just because they find her more attractive. Which if they're men, they should. Some men are so amazingly thirsty that they will do this nonsense. Well, again, personally, I got sick of being told to jump through a bunch of hoops. Like I never changed anything aside of like what specific things I would do, say certain stuff. But my point is, even then, when I was still bothering with it, there was certain stuff I wouldn't do because I don't think you should have to become someone else. I like put it like this. I would rather be who I am and never get with someone than transform into some other character on the hope of getting a date. Because I would not be happy. And my happiness matters to me above most things. That's why I don't talk to a bunch of broads that want to waste my time. Been there, done that. Yeah, it's really sad that people are like this. They want you to be dependent on a woman's attention and then for then impugn you for a fiend for a woman's attention. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah, they want everything you do to be dominated by chicks. And then when you get mad that what you're doing isn't enough to attract chicks, they want you to not get upset and say this is stupid and it's a waste of my time. But you set this person up to where a chick's opinion matters over anything else. A friend of mine changed his hair, attire, and accent just to try to get a girlfriend. Still failed, by the way. Well, again, that's what I'm talking about. If he had done those things just because he wanted to be a new person and fulfill himself, or it made him feel better about who he was, then fine. But to do all of that on the possibility, not the guarantee of getting a woman, I just think is insane. Like I said, my life is not dominated by a vagina. I don't do videos to get screwed. I don't do my show to get screwed. I don't do documentaries to get screwed. Oh, they definitely set you up for failure. Um, and that's why I said that it's so disturbing that chicks are even like this big of a factor in the way people act. Like why do I have to transform into someone else again to get one date? You're not like keep going back to the date thing. You're not turning into this other person to get married or something else somehow. I don't even know what else you could say, but to get dated after she never wants to speak to again. And people with a straight face tell you about all these different things you need to do to work on yourself, and the broad doesn't have to do anything. And again, I'm not going to subsidize this BS. I'm not going to constantly be the subject of ridicule despite whatever self-improvements I might try to make, while people who make no improvements uh, are able to like get away with not doing anything to improve their own lives simply because they have a vagina. Like I don't see how that's fair. I think a lot of people who try to like encourage me to keep talking to them are pricks for doing that, because again, it's all based on this idea that your life, your being as a person is dependent on a vagina. To hell with what interests you, to hell with how you feel after years and years of these people saying no. You're supposed to be like this moth drawn to a flame whenever some broad so much as looks in your direction or speaks to you for more than a few seconds. So I said romance dehumanizes men. Imagine if I did videos telling women they needed to uh, own a Lamborghini and live in a mansion to go on a date with me. You would say I was out of my mind. But when it's told to me, people think it's normal. That's like a regular thing that you need to do. Even though we can literally prove there have been thousands of men that don't own any of that crap that still get screwed, or at least are able to get a girlfriend. It's like, how do they do that? With pixie dust? Nobody can explain that. My dad didn't own a mansion or have a Lamborghini or work out at the gym. None of that crap. And he was still able to have multiple different chicks that he dated. Sometimes I wonder what it would have been like to live in a non-social media era. Because again, nobody can explain how people who didn't do this stuff were able to not have these problems. They will say, yeah, well, dress better is a subjective thing. I've seen plenty of chicks that, again, wear things I don't like, and they're still able to get with somebody. And why the hell do you have to wear like some snazzy outfit every single day? Like, what the hell is wrong with them? I mean, if getting a haircut really changed things, wouldn't the Jackson Five like never have had kids or been married? Because remember they had the afros. Oh, you have to have six figures before you can dress the way you want and look the way you want. Okay. Self-improvement honestly just seems like an insecure person's excuse for why they have the personality of a blobfish. Well, listen, my self-improvement is me improving myself to do things I like. And again, I'm not ashamed of who I am. So it's kind of one of those things where it's people who don't speak to me, who don't talk to me, who are trying to tell me about all these insecurities I must have, that they don't have any proof of. I mean, this chick stuff will drive anybody insane. And again, it is really a paradox to have an issue that doesn't affect other men, at least like, because I gave this example of how there was a broad who um, I spoke to earlier this year and last year, who she's actually the only chick I spoke to this entire year, and she was not wanting to date anymore. And I told her the only reason I cared about that was because I wanted to date her. And that's why it's weird to me that my reason for caring about the fact that she didn't want to date anymore is because I want to date her. But then men care about me saying I'm done dating, even though they're straight. Like it's weird. Self improvement is for yourself, not for others. Yeah, and again, it assumes that you have some. I call it the fatal flaw, where these people who've never met you can like look at you and are hear you speak, and they know that one issue that prevents you from getting with the bro. I never thought I'd see the day I could be blamed for what 90 other people do. And that's actually a good phrase. When you're a man, you're the scapegoat of a woman's decisions. I'm gonna use that. That should be a title of a video. How men became the scapegoats for women's decisions. Because that's what you are, where you just keep getting blamed for everything they do, as far as it relates to this chick stuff. And hell, even when that broad popped out that kid, um, I had Triple L talking about her trauma and the what she possibly endured as a kid. And I'm like, man, listen, if you want to tell me that someone who knew that she was going to be screwed if she had a kid she couldn't afford getting in bed and doing it anyway isn't a dumb thing, that she was self-aware of the ridiculousness of. I don't want to speak to you. Like I don't want to be around people who find ways to justify disgusting lifestyles that ruin people's lives before they begin, but also find a way to blame me for things that I have no control over. Like if you can defend abroad willfully, she wasn't raped, making a kid she couldn't afford, but then you can find a way to blame me for a woman saying I'm not interested in dating you. I just don't want to speak to you. It's a gaslighting tactic to tell someone to work on yourself because it makes the person doubt themselves and distrust their sense of self. Yeah, and again, this is why I said it's so stupid, because let's say there's an alternate universe where the person they're telling to work on themselves was with abroad. Then they wouldn't be telling them to work on themselves because it would be mission accomplished. But that's why I said that as a man, it feels like everything you do is hinged on chicks, that you can have every stable impulse. You can have relationships with people that are fulfilling, where they like you, and you can seek out steady work. You can be a productive member of society. And then just because you're not with some bimbo, you need to change who you are. You need some self-improvement. Well, hell, the person you were was able to get you to do all these other things successfully. So shouldn't it be more reflection on them if this person who can do all of these other things isn't able to get with one of them? Again, they always find a way to flip it back on you. Right? That's why I call it the penis penalty. When you're a man, you're made the villain of the story. But yeah, self-improvement, all this little crap about talking about the way someone looks. I'm just, it's overdone. It's really sad too, because like I said at the beginning of this, I think there are legitimate critiques that can be levied at anybody. Um, and a lot of the like criticisms I get don't address my points. And they do this thing where, what's a good way of saying it? They have to assume a lot. So I had the person on the one video where I screenshotted, I think it was the Just World Fallacy one, where I was talking about how this guy had said in my comment section, you approach chicks that are too attractive, go for average chicks with the brain. And that's like, you're assuming that every single broad that is, I guess, beautiful is an idiot. And then every single broad that is average is in what you would consider intelligent. Think how screwed up that is. So if I couldn't speak, I'd be considered beautiful. But if I am able to speak, if I'm able to do things to where people by and large would call me smart, I am now no longer attractive. Like, but that's why I said all they do is accuse you of things. They don't even care. They just write random stuff to make themselves feel better. And again, that comment was very dumb, because, like I said, I've never shown the pictures of a single. I'm not trying to expose these people, but he has to assume that all 90 plus of these chicks are oh, so beautiful. It's even more funny because a lot of times I didn't even see what they look like myself, because if you go on Reddit or one of those other websites, sometimes they don't post their picture. But I'm supposed to believe all of these chicks are just so magically beautiful, so out of my league. And then wouldn't that be lacking confidence if I go and say, well, this woman is too attractive for me. I can only date threes or fours. So I said, when you're a man, you are the slave of the woman. I want to have just paint a picture of me hanging from a cross, just like the cross on my neck, because all you do is get lynched for the stupid stuff that chicks do. They find ways to blame you. They find ways to make you the villain. It's really crazy. Let me close this line. It's getting on my damn nerves. But yeah, I think it's really sad that people just want to make you the villain. So we already did the how romance dehumanizes men. We also how romance vilifies men. Like I never thought, see a day that I had more people try to like make me the antagonist than like what's the way of saying it? So because the act of what I do is not villainous, as in you just do a video talking about stupid things that chicks do and you hide their identity and protect them or whatever, they have to like create these spin-offs. So, oh, this person who talks about chicks is going to shoot up a school or they're going to blow up a building. They have no proof that I'm into violence or have ever done anything violent. But you know, you must construct this narrative because there's no way a adjusted normal person who does not bother anyone and is a productive member of society could have trouble with getting a woman. You have to always make the man who has this problem the modern day equivalent of some some new like Hannibal Lecter or something. This world is something else. The bar is set so high because of hypergamy. We have to meet all their perfect attributes, and then they get bored anyway. Yeah, I mean, like I literally got turned down by a broad last year who said I was more. And if you don't believe me, it's fine. But I don't know why I would make this up. So I was more attractive, funnier, and smarter than her fiance, and I still got turned down. Her ex fiance, by the way. So I was, just to clarify. And again, people want to look at me and say that that's normal. That's something that shouldn't discourage you. That you can have people who acknowledge all of your supposedly positive qualities to where they want to have these hours long calls with you, but then not be interested in doing anything with you. Like they can never take it any further than a bunch of stupid calls. You're supposed to be content with having all of these damn calls, all of these chicks year after year. To hell with what you want. To hell with what you plan. Just be subservient to them. Hell the mighty vagina. There are also women who pretend they are sex goddesses and that having a lot of sex makes you happy. Well, that was the worst part of it because, like the reason I don't want to be part of those romance groups, aside from the fact that there are members that support violence and I don't under any circumstance, unless it's self-defense. But again, like I don't want to be part of those groups. The reason for that primarily is because if you ask somebody what is groups I'm talking about, they'll say, oh, they're men who are upset they can't have sex. And I always talk about how I live in a state next to Vegas, Nevada, where you can go over there, pay a price, and have the trash done. Like, if that was something I wanted, why the hell would I talk to some broad for 2 or 3 months when I can just drive to the adjacent state and have that taken care of? There are plenty of attractive prostitutes. But again, this isn't about them having proof that I've ever said my main goal with the woman was to get screwed. It's just shallow, evil individual for this to make sense. I've just had to let it all go and take a deep breath. Well, look, that working on yourself thing again. I'm sick of that because all they do is say that every year. When we all know damn well that if you were with that, they're only saying that because of not being with the broad. I just think it's really sad. I'm really tired of people playing this game. Again, the consequence for this has been me just not speaking to them anymore. So neither to the chicks or to people who, think this is normal. So much valid points being brought up. It's just a shame that majority of people tend to not have the kind of open mindset. Yeah, that's why they accuse you of different things. It makes them feel better. We have no proof that you're actually someone with some ridiculously high set of standards for what you want from a chick, but we're just going to accuse you. It's way too slanted against guys, as you say. Yeah, I mean, Megumi, if I told you, it's a good way of saying it, I'm a woman and I say, No, let me rephrase that because this thing over here is loud. But let's say I said, as a man, you, Megumi, you woman, you must own a Lamborghini and live in a mansion and have a master's degree to get a date with me or to possibly get a date with me. You would look at me like I was out of my mind, like I had just broken out of Smith's Grove. But for some reason, when men are told to jump through all these hoops, it's considered normal. And like I said, if you had to own all this stuff, how the hell did my dad get dates? Like I wouldn't exist if this was true. Nobody can explain that. We just magically upped the standards in the last 10 years to where now the only men getting screwed all have six figures and drive some vehicle. How in the world can you call that normal? Because it isn't. It is people. Here's how this goes. I'm a person that just does a video. This is people taking a person that just does a video, or people that talk about being disillusioned with chicks, and creating a set of circumstances that conventionally are attractive, but that they don't stop to think, hey, maybe this just isn't practical. Maybe it's really ridiculous to tell every man that doesn't get with the broad, you need to have six figures or some inordinate home, or just it's something they create to feel better, and to just world fallacy, to explain away anyone who could possibly have an issue with getting a chick in the modern era. I made 7 times work in construction. I live alone. I pay yet. I'm told I need to work on myself because I'm, again, it's just a stupid phrase people say to, hey, Megumi, I mentioned this earlier. If the situation was you had a chick, no one would tell you to work on yourself. Nobody. You could be unemployed. You could barely be able to speak. You could start fights with people over whatever. But as long as you're with a woman, you made it. So I said they have turned people who just happen to be female and made them into like the end all be all for determining what kind of person you are. And that's why I said with the chick stuff, you get attacked in like weird ways. You don't get attacked over anything else. Like I've done over 1,000 videos on politics, and I never had anybody tell me that I've done enough videos on this subject, or you're going to molest someone or blow up a building. Like it's only when you discuss chicks that they do these weird homicidal predictions. It's crazy. Yeah, they literally just write you off if they say to you about working on yourself. If it was reversed, it wouldn't be like that at all. It's just sad. This issue affects so many people, and then with a lot of them, your age or whatever, like they find these little artificial ways to oppose your talking points, because they can't address them. I literally am working on myself, though, trying to make new heights in my career. I've seen some guys waste so much time chasing these broads. Yeah. Well, again, my point is I don't do anything that could be considered working on myself unless I actually want to do it for me. Like I'm not. I think the worst mistake someone can make is doing something for another person, as far as in terms of their personality or some long-term goal. And yeah, because if you aren't with a chick, seems like they determine who you are as a person. To hell with your interest. If you aren't with someone, you are an invalid. Well, it's really about them just trying to shame anyone that critiques this stuff. Because ever since what was it, like 2014, whenever that one guy did the Isla Vista shooting thing, they've pretty much made it to where if you so much as say, I really wish the chick stuff had turned out differently, I think this is ridiculous, you're made to be the some new mass murderer. Like you cannot give any critiques of this group anymore because of what one person did years ago. And you know, it's sad too because, like I said, I'll come out and say I don't condone violence, and you know they still accuse you of it, or accuse me of it rather. But again, it's not because they have proof; it's because they have to find a way to invalidate anyone who has a different view than them, and they have to do it in the nastiest, most underhanded ways. Imagine how screwed up I would be if I went on YouTube, right, to like all these other like Republican channels, just people who didn't agree with me politically, right? And I started saying that if you don't agree with me or if you think differently than me, you're a terrorist and you're going to blow up a building. Like, imagine how insane I would look for that slanderous trash that I would just spew at all these people just for having a different opinion from me. But for some reason, it's allowed to be written to me. You know, you won't have a bunch of people condemn it and say, well, that's kind of ridiculous. All he's doing is just sitting on a couch talking about some topic. It's one of the most demoralizing things, constantly getting critiqued by others if you have a different position from others. Yes, but their critiques are not addressing what's being said. I'm hearing about hairlines and uh, where you live and what you have on. You know, it's funny because remember, the guys are the ones who care so much about the way chicks look or about appearances, but then I'm specifically and almost entirely exclusively talking about the stupid things that they do, uh, referring to chicks, and then I'm having people critique the way I look as if this is a beauty parlor. I'm gonna do a stream in a beauty parlor, just like at some nail salon. Like, all right, well, since everybody wants to be fruity and talk about, but you get my point that these critiques are not about actually addressing what's being said. And even when people aren't insulting you, they still aren't addressing the points you make. You're being told to hold out hope, to get over it. You know, it's none of it is actually specifically designed to say, this person said this, here's my rebuttal. I know they practically ignore everything that was addressed in the videos or stream and start talking about something completely irrelevant. Yeah. Um, I mean, like, it's really sad if you sit there and you give some nuanced opinion on something. And again, I don't see this being done with other topics. If I address immigration or foreign policy, someone that doesn't agree with me will call me an idiot, or they'll say something that's about what came out of my mouth, not, well, I personally don't like the way you look, mister. It's like, what? You're not supposed to, sir. Okay, the boy with a her username. That's the problem today. People have so little to worry about that they create new problems or amplify everything just to stay busy. Something to worry about instead of trying to vilify a man that's doing a video. Why don't you go get upset at the broad that destroyed a kid's life before it began? I would think that's a more pressing issue. Like I said, no one has died because of a video I made. No one is going hungry because of me putting up a video. No one is not going to be able to go to school because I did a video. Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, the stuff that a lot of these chicks are doing is way more dangerous than anything I've done because I don't bother people. But they have a nice little spin game that they do. Common sense isn't really common anymore. Right, but again, my point is it's really disturbing that you can have a nuanced position that you explain, and then it seems like the majority of people who see it that aren't agreeing with you are just like spouting random BS that has nothing to do with the points you made. Like if I can sit down and do a video where all I do is talk about being disgruntled with something, and then I have someone tell me that I'm comparable to a school shooter. Nobody thinks that's weird. Hold on. See, unfortunately, it's about this topic. They lose their minds and critical thinking skills temporarily. Um, yeah, they don't. Well, what's a good way of saying it? I've never seen an issue before the chick stuff where so many people like say to hell with logic and facts. I'm just gonna say whatever. So even though you have all these screenshots of broads wasting your time, I'm going to tell you that there's this infinite pantheon of chicks that are like not that way that you just conveniently haven't met yet. And again, we've explained this issue before. What they do is they usually say they're interested, and then again, some of them, not all of them, they say they're interested, and then they just switch on you. Like it's their interest in you is never enough to actually commit to anything. So you have people who tell you that women aren't attracted to you but they out of their own mouths they say they're attracted to you. They just don't want to do anything romantic. They just want to waste your time or have some platonic relationship crap. They want you to satisfy what they want, but not give you anything in return. Again, that's usually the cycle. They say something showing their interest, and then they don't actually follow up on it. They get bored so fast that they search for someone else. Yeah, pretty much. But that's why it like when you have these online comments about you won't appeal to anyone, it's like, but out of their own mouths they say something that is completely different from what you're saying. I haven't seen Joe in a while. They want your personality without your feelings attached to it. Well, that's why it was funny to watch people call me selfish for not talking to chicks anymore, but then not call the chick selfish for wanting to speak to me while not giving. Like, how screwed up is that? You're selfish for not wanting to put up with their BS anymore after doing all those negotiations, like you're in some kind of diplomatic head of state meeting, but they're not selfish for trying to get something out of you without giving you something in return. Your heart says you want her forever, but the mind says she's going to dump you. Well, they usually they preemptively dump you. So they fill you up all this trash, but oh my God, I feel this connection with you, and you're so smart and you're so funny, and you make me giggle. And then 2-3 weeks later, after considering our correspondence, I'd like to not speak anymore, and I decided to not continue our conversations. So then, what the hell was the point of the last couple of weeks? Like, what? Who would look at a situation like that happen over and over again, where you have some broad who gives you some red herring about her being so attracted, and then she flips at the last minute or later on, and say that they want to just keep doing that year after year? Like, if that's not what's going on, then it's chicks who aren't showing any interest outside of some conversations. Again, like, what rational human being would say this is an enjoyable fate, that because you're a man, you need to spend 7, 8, 10 years talking to a bunch of chicks who gas you up just to let you down, like over and over again. You need to be denied what you want repeatedly and just hope and pray that one of them doesn't do this. And then when you say, This probably isn't going to get better. You're told about how you're creating this situation, even though you're the only one actively going out of your way to change it by virtue of talking to so many goddamn chicks in the first place. How does that work? I recently had to cut off a group of friends because of their petulant and incredulous need to try and thrust me into their weird harem. Hmm. Yeah, I'm all for cutting off groups of people that you know try to do like weird stuff with you. Okay, now I can see Joe's comments. High school women's hearts merited for the athletes. After college, women's hearts melted for men's bank account size and trust funds. Well, it's funny because like if I were to make a video and say all women are gold diggers, people would get mad at me. But then when people are giving their advice of what I should do, I'm being told about how I need this excess of money, and then like isn't that basically confirming that they are gold diggers if you need to have this, like it's one thing to say you need to take care of yourself as far as financial stuff, because I would agree with that, but the idea that you need to own more than most people, I just, that's when it starts getting ridiculous. Like that's why I said they try to make you this Superman like character. All right, let me read what mostly I can't stand women block me on social media or their phone numbers. Well, I actually blocked one chick from my phone and on social media, and then she emailed me. Like, go away. Go away. You didn't get the message? Oh, and then Joe, your comment poked a hole in that narrative about them. What was the other one? So, like with the money stuff, you know that those high school athletes don't have a, and I'm not trying to be insulting, but they are not wealthy at all, and probably don't own conventionally anything, as in like thousands and thousands of dollars. Yet they're still able to get with someone. So it goes back to this thing of like you have to own a bunch of money that most people wouldn't have just to go on a date, or you need to have some kind of uh, some kind of juggernaut style physique. Like it's just weird. So you either have to be Bruce Wayne or Kobe to get with the woman. And I'm laughing at it because it's really stupid, and like the stuff they tell you to do is. So I said the broad stuff is just going to be the downfall of society. Like what people will do just to see a broad, let alone screw one, really scares me sometimes. Because we've had, men get killed over trying to get a chick. We've had men go to jail over them. I would rather just stay away. Like it just seems like it's more trouble than it's worth. All right, is there anything else left to say? Because I'm pretty talked out. I think I covered all my bases. It would be nice to talk about this stuff and not have other men try to make me the villain. I'm a simple man with simple needs. Read is a plate of all I need is a plate of pergis, a fat joint, and some 80s kung fu flicks. And I don't need a woman to provide myself that luxury. Oh my God! Don't start with that again. Why does it? Hey Megumi, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take my channel link and just go and like to every time somebody talks about a chick, like you should watch this person. You should check out this person. They really turn my live chat into like a TV commercial for these people. I would strongly endorse viewing this individual who can provide you the insight you need to get with the women. That's why I call them channel prophets. They spread the goodwill. What's his name? I've come to spread the word about Corey. If you listen to him, things will get better. He's gonna give that advice that'll turn the tide. Damn, like, what do you get out of doing that? And I'm not. This isn't a shot at Joe specifically, but I had somebody else do that about. I think it was 2 or 3 Saturdays ago. Like, so this is just what we do. We watch. Like, think of how weird it would be if I went to someone's stream and I went, "Hey, you should watch Secular Talk. Listen to Kyle." Like, I'm not his channel surrogate. I don't need to go around promoting it. If you want someone to tell you how to live your life, you are a sad, pathetic person, and I will not take your self-improvement seriously. Yeah, I don't tell people what to do with themselves. Like, I think talking to chicks is a waste of time, but like, if somebody else wants to keep doing it, I don't care. You won't catch me writing any paragraphs. Just because it worked for you, it doesn't mean it can help the person you're telling it to. Yeah. Well, that's why I think a lot of those dating channels just are a waste of time, because I used to watch 2 or 3 of them, and I found myself in the exact same spot, and I just, I don't think it's a productive use of my time to watch someone rattle off stuff about doing this and that on the off chance that it'll appeal to some broad. But I just find it weird that like the channels themselves aren't coming to me. It's their like fans, like people that like them, like, "Hey, come watch this person." I'm gonna have Megumi do that. I'm gonna give him like $5 and have him just go to a bunch of random streams talking about, "I never would have known that talking to chicks was a waste of time until I met that man in blue." And then he just like has my link. You got to listen to him. And on this channel, it has been said countless times just how much dating channels have proven to be ineffective anyway, and ultimately a waste of time. Well, that's why it seems kind of strange. Like, oh, this person says dating channels are a waste of time. Let me share the link of a dating channel. Like, Joe, were you trolling? That's like me going on a channel about atheism, and then I go in the comment section like, "You got this atheist, he's gonna break down all these," like it's literally the antithesis of the message of the person who is communicating one thing. Do you think a chick would like me blasting my DNB music? I can blast whenever I want. I can't imagine living with one. I mean, I guess it depends if she likes the music herself. I personally, if I was in that situation, I would just go in my car and play it, because you roll the windows up and nobody else can. If they can hear it, it's faint. What if you did? What will happen? Oh, I'll grow green scales and my hair will turn gold. They really make sex seem like it is the end all be all. Yeah, if we just have these men that want to get married and have families get screwed one time, they'll be really content, and then we can just have this peaceful society, even though their wants and desires are still not being met. Okay, ever heard of learning from other people, like how to do things in the gym, learning mathematics, psychology? It's not hard concept. Well, again, I'll read what he said in response to that. This is the age of information. I have a world of information at my fingertips. I do not need condescending advice to learn something on my own. Again, the position that Megumi had is kind of what I have as well, that what works for one person might not work for someone else. That's why I said that approaching and talking and dating chicks is just, it's turned into this like really homogenized thing where everybody has to be the same and do the same. And it's really weird because Again, a lot of relationships are not the same, but whatever. Just in terms of how they were formed and how the, I guess, partners interact and whatnot. The information age. Hey, Sinister, you're gonna put my link on like 8 different channels tonight. Yeah, I thought he was. Well, I've seen him before, so I didn't. Maybe it was like a joke, but he wasn't actually trying to screw with me. It was just I had the same thing happen like 2 or 3 weeks ago. That's at least the fourth instance of someone doing that where they come over here saying, you got to listen to this person. Spread the gospel. Yeah. I've come to bear the fruit of Justin's teachings. Why would I need someone to give me a condom? You can just buy it from the store. You try to make them sound like they're the what's some rare item, like some rare object. Like they're the Dragon Balls. Like there's only 7 condoms in the whole world, and you have to wait for all of them to get used, and they just spread back apart, and you got to search again in the ruins. Anyways, I'm about to get out of here, so I hope you enjoyed the stream, Megumi, Sinister, and thanks for showing up. And like I said, the people who give me the biggest antagonism happen to be part of the same groups. If you're unemployed, people who supposedly are supposed to be on your side will attack you. If you're not with a woman, you'll have other men attack you, which is the damnedest thing in the world because how many men are, affected by this. It's just sad, people. Everybody's trying to be a new anime villain. With friends like this, who needs enemies? So thanks for watching. See you.